Hello, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a look at some of the more important, interesting or even irritating things to have happened in gaming news this week. Having taken last week off to rest, recover and recuperate, I'm now ready to jump right back in and see if the games industry has gotten any better during my absence. Spoiler alert, it hasn't. One of the more disconcerting items of news this week came via Jason Schreier at Kotaku, who has recently been doing a lot of good reporting on the financial problems reportedly affecting Rise and Crisis developers Crytek. According to sources within the company, staff at Crytek's UK office in Nottingham, which is currently developing Homefront the Revolution, have filed formal grievance letters and stopped turning up for work, in protest at Crytek not paying them their full wages. So far, around 100 staff at Crytek UK are reported to have left, including Hasit Zala, director on Homefront the Revolution. This incident at Crytek UK is the latest of many alleged problems to have afflicted the company after Rise 2 was reportedly cancelled back in March. Sources at other Crytek studios also claim they have either not been paid on time or have only received 30 to 40% of their paychecks. Some even claim they have gone entire months without pay. Meanwhile, 3 employees at Crytek's Frankfurt office claim that the company's co-founders, Chevat and Avni Yerli, continue to turn up to the office in their Ferrari sports cars, which, when you haven't been paid for months, is less a slap in the face and more like a brutal physical assault with a baseball bat, made of solid gold and encrusted with diamonds. Back in mid-June, Crytek representatives publicly denied they were experiencing any financial difficulties, but have since fallen ominously silent. Meanwhile, requests by several news outlets for any comment from either Crytek, Microsoft or Deep Silver, who are rumoured to be looking to buy Crytek UK, have received no response. All of which paint a very grim, nightmarish painting of goings-on at Crytek worldwide. As easy as it can be to dismiss anonymous sources by the virtue of them being anonymous, the sheer number of them seeping out of Crytek give these reports some considerable weight, particularly when taken with the disappointing sales figures for Rise Son of Rome and Crisis 3. And anonymity is the only way many people in the industry can speak out. Despite its sheer size, the games industry is a surprisingly tight-knit collective, and anyone who gets a reputation for trashing their boss will suddenly find it very hard to get another job. Some are so frightened to speak out at all, even under condition of anonymity, that others have to do it for them. 2 infamous examples being the EA Spouse blog in 2004, which blew the lid off of diabolical working practices at EA, and the open letter from the Rockstar wives condemning what they called a dehumanising work environment at Rockstar San Diego during the development of Red Dead Redemption. It's almost depressingly easy to forget that real, actual flesh and blood people sweat, toil and sometimes even suffer to create the games we love, especially in an industry so fond of heaping as much credit as it can on individual visionaries for games created often by teams upwards of 100 people. The crisis reportedly happening at Crytek is a symptom of a wider malaise permeating the whole industry, an industry that predominantly, barring shining examples to the contrary, still clings to the primitive idea of crunch time, has awful job security, constantly pressures its employees to do unhealthy amounts of overtime, and burns people out at a staggering rate, all while continuing to duck the issue of serious, necessary reforms. In the meantime, my thoughts and sincerest best wishes go out to everyone affected by this news. Something I dearly wish I didn't have to keep saying. In other news, the 4th International Dota 2 Championship, better known as the International 4, has begun and will be ending July 21st. Teams from around the world will be competing in Seattle for a $10 million prize, part funded by the Dota 2 player community through purchasing something called the Compendium. The Compendium, in case you didn't know, is part tournament brochure, part Panini sticker album. Only instead of pasting in mugshots of overpaid knobheads who kick a bit of leather about, you accrue points to level up your compendium. Points are earned by watching tournament matches, predicting winners, winning 10 games with your favourite hero, and pretty much almost anything Dota 2 related. As your compendium levels up, you get special rewards for Dota 2 like hero costumes, custom couriers and other digital goodies, which you can then bring into your own Dota 2 games. A particularly interesting development this year is the addition of the Dota 2 Newcomers stream, an English language stream intended specifically for people who've never seen, played or even heard of Dota 2, in which the commentators aim to ease you into the whole thing gently. A bit like a good Let's Play for Dota 2, only you're watching some of the best players in the world, and the commentary won't make your ears bleed. So if you haven't the first idea what BKB, tri-lane or counterpicks are, but still want to see what all this Dota 2 stuff is all about, you can still enjoy the International 4 like anyone else. Elsewhere, Double Fine Productions tweeted this week that the forthcoming HD remake of Grim Fandango, initially announced for PS4 and PS Vita at this year's E3, will also be coming to PC, Mac and Linux at the same time. Hooray! Finally, Creative Assembly announced this week that they managed to corral almost all of the original cast of Ridley Scott's Alien, minus Ian Holm and John Hurt, for 2 special standalone missions in the upcoming Alien Isolation, set during the original film. And that includes Sigourney Weaver, reprising her role as Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley. In fact, according to Creative Assembly, Sigourney Weaver got so involved in the recording process, she wound up telling them what Ripley would do and say in various situations. But then, if Sigourney Weaver told me to do something, the only 2 words coming out of my mouth would be yes and ma'am. The first of the 2 special missions is called Crew Expendable, in which you play as either Ripley, Dallas or Parker right after Harry Dean Stanton's character Brett gets killed. Spoilers for a 35-year-old movie there. The second, Last Survivor, is all about Ripley as she attempts to escape to the shuttlecraft Narcissus before the Nostromo explodes. Another spoiler there, by the way. Creative Assembly say both missions are designed as what-if scenarios and aren't intended to follow the film precisely beat for beat, which is good to hear. If I wanted something that exactly followed the plot of Alien, I'd just watch Alien again. Although it does lead me to hope Creative Assembly include a secret alternate ending where Jonesy the cat is the only true survivor of the Nostromo's crew. Hell, just let me play as Jonesy the cat. That'd be great. For Alien fans, this sounds like a dream come true, stepping into the shoes of one of cinema's greatest heroes, Ellen Ripley, and going up against one of its most iconic monsters. What's not to love about that? The catch, however, because there's always a catch, is that both missions are only available if you pre-order the game. Pre-ordering Alien Isolation from anywhere gives you the Crew Expendable mission, but to get the second mission, Last Survivor, you have to pre-order from select stores. In the US, that's GameStop, who recently announced plans to perpetrate more of this sort of bollocks by worming their way directly into the development process of future titles. In the UK, meanwhile, you'll have to buy your copy of Alien Isolation from Game if you want to recreate Ripley's desperate escape from the exploding Nostromo and her final tussle with the alien that snuck aboard the escape shuttle. Again, spoilers, although I shouldn't have to keep saying that. If you're watching this and you haven't seen Alien, then what the hell is wrong with you? It came out 35 bloody years ago! Now, I don't have a problem with this DLC in and of itself. Unlike the From Ashes DLC for Mass Effect 3, which took a small yet important part of the story and threw it behind a paywall, these Ripley missions won't be essential to the story of Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation is set decades after the original Alien film and stars a completely different protagonist, albeit Ellen Ripley's daughter Amanda. At best, however, these Ripley missions are just a little nostalgic callback or a bonus feature. A bit of fan wish fulfillment. If you've seen Alien, then you already know the story of this DLC, and not playing it shouldn't impact your enjoyment of Alien Isolation itself. It's like the difference between the theatrical version of Alien and the director's cut, with that optional scene of Dallas being turned into an egg. Is it a nice little extra? Yes. Is it essential to the original film? No. Spoilers for Alien the director's cut there, by the way. With that said, however, what I do have a problem with is this tiresome codswallop of retailer exclusive content. This backwards primitive idea that I have to go to one specific retailer to get the content I want, or because that retailer threw some money around or threatened to not stock a particular game. Retailers justify this bilge by saying it gives the consumer more value, but it doesn't. Forcing you to go to a specific store to get the content you want is the exact opposite of consumer value. It restricts your freedom of choice to shop around wherever you please and get the best price for the goods you want. It's also a very cynical way of trying to bypass your critical thinking and get you to fork out for something that might not be any good. You could even argue that it's a form of protectionism, giving an artificial advantage to specific brick and mortar stores over their competitors. Far from giving me an incentive to pre-order, which is what these exclusives are supposed to do, they do very much the bloody opposite. The first mission of the Nostromo DLC will be available to buy on day one anyway, and nearly all retailer exclusive DLC eventually becomes available to buy separately later on down the line, or gets bundled with the inevitable Game of the Year edition. So why should I pre-order? Especially when some publishers try to put an embargo on reviews right up until launch day, further hindering consumers' ability to make informed purchases. And let's not forget the smoke and mirrors shitfest that was Aliens Colonial Marines, a game sold on outright lies, without conscience, remorse or delusions of morality. Although in all fairness, the fault for that particular turd belongs to Gearbox and however many studios they outsourced it to. I have significantly more faith in Creative Assembly to deliver a worthy experience with Alien Isolation. Yet that doesn't mean I'm obliged to fork out money for it sight unseen in advance, and neither are you. Buying any game should be an informed decision that you make in your own time, on your own terms, and free from any undue pressure. Instead, retailers demand more and more exclusive content, developers and publishers keep giving it to them, and people keep pre-ordering games with all the restraint of a rat hammering a button in a Skinner box. So I might as well just be screaming in space, and we all know how effective that is. Unless it's over a radio, or you're an Imperial Stormtrooper. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, please do let me know, and let your friends, family and the board of directors know as well. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. If you didn't like it, however, well, each to their own, I suppose. Either way, you can go now.